Hey everybody, it's Jax again from the Popcorn Review Podcast. Today's gonna be my episode 81, AEW Dynamite. Um, this actually started off with a nice tribute to Ted Turner of his passing. I think he passed away yesterday morning, if I'm not mistaken. Um, you know, big instrumental of bringing WCW to TV. I think he also bought out the company years ago. So you know, had Sting and Tony Schiavone in the middle of the ring, giving his props to Ted Turner. They both brought up a couple different stories. You can tell they were kind of emotional. I don't know if Sting was meant to be there beforehand, but Sting was there this time around. Um, but it was nice to see them giving their props. They also mentioned that um, Ted Turner was fighting with the network back in the day, saying that you guys don't understand wrestling, and then turned back and told the wrestlers, "Hey, y'all keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna make sure that you guys are on TV." So pretty much Sting was saying that we had one billionaire back in the day, and now we got a new billionaire now, and I'm liking the direction that they're going in. Um, you also had Tony Schiavone talking about the TBS championship and the TNT championship, that the side plates are actually Ted Turner's home or production studio, which I had no idea. So that was a nice little tidbit there. Um, Nice to see, to be honest with you. Just shows that Tony Khan is a real fan. And I know a lot of people make fun of him saying, "Oh, he's a fan that's playing with his toys and he's just doing this because he has the money." Guys, just enjoy the show. Either you like AEW or you don't. Um, just enjoy it. I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and say everything AEW puts out there is fantastic, because I can tell you now, tonight's episode or yesterday's episode, I didn't pertainly like everything. Um, I watched the previous weeks, and I didn't make a video on those. It's just very busy, so I just posted pictures on TikTok of reactions and captions and stuff like that. So if you guys want to see that on TikTok, I do post pictures every now and then about the show. I just didn't get around to doing a video, but this episode of Dynamite felt like they kind of ran out of ideas. Personally, it wasn't fantastic. Some of the matches were good, but I feel like the segments were actually better than the show itself. And I know people are gonna dog me on that, but that's just how I feel. That's my opinion. Just let me know what you think in the comments. Um, Again, started off with the tribute to Ted Turner. It was really nice to see. I think it was like, I forgot. I had the picture I'm gonna post later, but he lived to. Then they said it was like 85 years old or 80 years old, something like that. So lived a long life. Um, a lot of people are gonna be sad. Like I said, Sting was sad. Tony Schiavone was sad in the ring. Um, and it was just nice to see like their little story. I wish they would have gone more into it. Maybe they'll do something on YouTube or something on social media, but we'll see, guys. Um, Honestly though, after that, um, you had the matches starting off. You had Moxley versus Juice Robinson. Juice Robinson looked like he a little bit bigger. Grew his beard back, so he looks better with his beard personally. But grew his beard back. Decent match. I can't even complain. Nothing too crazy, but because of the rules of the Championship, no one's allowed at ringside. So it was actually technically a one-on-one match, which is nice to see, because a lot of times the Death Riders get into shit and they kind of ruin everything with the same repetitive getting involved. So, long story short, we knew Moxley wasn't going to lose this match. Um, but Juice was doing pretty good, honestly. Juice was doing his thing. Um, Very animated, like he always is, but nice match. Moxley takes the win. But again, can't complain about the matches. I just felt like they were lackluster, if that makes sense, guys. Um, but I will say though, they did do a segment later on that it showed Will Ospreay training with the Death Riders, and they were like working on his neck. Moxley was working with Marina Shafir, and you had everybody kind of helping out Will, but you saw Pac in the background, like he can care, give a shit less if you have this guy on the roster or not, or on their team or not. He does. You can tell he does not like Will Ospreay. I definitely see at some point him and Will are going to get into it, but everybody else seemed okay. And then Moxley goes, you got to build yourself up to be better. You got to be that monster. So Will's kind of joining them in a sense, but I don't feel like he's going to physically join the team totally. He's just going to take kind of like their Mr. Miyagi mentor and listen to him that way. At least that's how I'm taking it. I don't see Will Ospreay turning to the dark side again, at least not yet. But it was a nice segment. Again, you have that going on. Then later on in the day, you had the ops pretty much saying like, yo, Will, what the hell? We extended that olive branch and you still fucking with the Death Rider. Remember, if it wasn't for us, you know, things would have never happened the way that it did. You got to make sure that you're rocking with the real ones. And he pretty much said, if you don't take our hand, we're gonna have to put you down. So I definitely see Will Ospreay fighting Samoa Joe, possibly even fighting Anthony Bowens, Shibata, and Hook whenever he comes back from doing his movie. So there's a lot of stuff. Again, I feel like the segments were better than the actual night itself. To the point, I didn't even watch the third hour of the show. Right after Darby Allin's match, I hit good night. Like I was like, good night. I'm not watching it. Some people said those matches were actually better than the 2 hours of Dynamite, but it is what it is. You had Dax versus Orange Cassidy, and the winner of that match, it was a one-on-one match. The winner of that match had a title shot against the losers' belts. So if the conglomeration win, they get a title shot against the tag team championships. If FTR wins, them and Ciampa get a trios title. Whatever. It was weird though, because you had FTR come out with Stokely dressed as Orange Cassidy, so that was odd. Then you had the Dogs come out, Connor and Finley, and then you had some of the guys from the Don Callis family. So it was like they brought an army with them to this fucking match. But then you turn around, you had the conglomeration come out with the Jan Sport book bags holding their titles, and then you had the Young Bucks come out. Then you had what's it called? CNC come out, Christian Cage and Adam Copeland come out. So they kind of like rally their own little army or own little troops there. And this match was straight. They were going back and forth. Orange Cassidy's kind of got that laughable gimmick that he pretends that he can't wrestle, or he kind of does that little slaps and little low kicks and stuff like that. Dax was getting pretty pissed. Dax is actually a pretty good singles wrestler. That's why they always put him alone instead of Cash Wheeler. But it is what it is. It was a good match. Surprisingly though, OC wins, so that means that someone in the conglomeration gets a title shot against the tag team champions, which is kind of stupid personally, because I feel like whoever in the conglomeration's there, they're either going to get cheated out of that match or they're going to lose regardless, because you have Copeland and Cage versus FTR at Double or Nothing. So again, it kind of doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. We're going to let it play out. OC takes the win. Personally, I was shocked because he has been losing a couple times this week, so I'm just shocked that he took the win. But the conglomeration do get a title shot. Who do you think's going to be there? Honestly, is it going to be Roddy and OC? Is it going to be them boys with OC? Like, who is going to be the tag team that goes against FTR? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. You had Jericho come out with talking to Renee. Like I said, I feel like the segments were better than the actual wrestling today. And I just feel like this match or this card was just kind of like thrown together. But, Jericho was pissed. He actually looked disheveled, pissed, tired, whatever you want to call it. Tell Renee that he's tired of this. He wants to take it to the ring. And he pretty much calls Ricochet and the Demand out. Well, within a couple minutes, Ricochet comes out. Looks like he was actually coming out alone at first, but then GOA is behind him. So they all come to the ring and they're talking shit to each other. And Ricochet, for some reason, goes, you know what? I want to match with you. And I don't want like any kind of match. I want anarchy in the arena. I want to put you down. So you get your 4 guys and we'll get some guys and we'll see what happens. But I'm pretty sure you're not going to find nobody who likes you, Jericho. Jericho's Ricochet, bald. I'm going to find somebody who hates you. It doesn't matter if they like me. It doesn't matter if they hate you. And he was like, and if I can't find anybody, I'll beat y'all 3 asses by myself for the Anarchy in the Arena. Starts going off on them. For a little while, he did his thing. He goes for the lion salt. And what happens? Gets caught. They start beating him down. Who comes out? We Hurt people. The Hurt Syndicate come out, save the day, but it's still 3-on-3. So who are the other two team members that each group is going to get? Now, I'm assuming the demand could possibly get, I would say maybe like Action Andretti, Leo Rush, um, maybe Swerve will be on Ricochet's team. I don't know. Um, but y'all let me know. I don't know who's gonna be on Jericho's team either. Like maybe MVP could join and I'll be their fourth, but they still need a fifth. So is he gonna go back to some of his old guys from what's it called? Um, the just Jericho Association or Society, whatever it was. He's done so many different different groups there. Is he gonna ask Brian Keith and Big Bill to rejoin, or is Ricochet gonna join Big Bill and Brian Keith on their team to kind of shit on Jericho? I don't know. Like I said, I feel like they're building better for Double or Nothing with the segments from this week. I was just I was just in shock personally. Like the wrestling was but the segments made it a lot better. Oops, sorry about that. The segs made it a lot better. But um after that, you did have what's it called? Okada versus Brian Keith. Brian Keith was doing his thing. Um he actually he shaved kind of his head, got a fade, if anything. He's got like a weird little ponytail to the side of his head, not even in the back. When I was younger, we used to rock the beads and the ponytail in the back of the head, but he had it like on the side. So he got a full fade on the sides, and then this little ass like to the side like this, like it's to the side ponytail. I didn't understand that, but that's his gimmick. He was doing his thing. Coming after Okada hard, fast, strong, and Okada actually this was actually a decent match personally. I always say Okada in AEW is boring to me. It's been just a couple of matches that I've seen Okada kind of like ball out, and I would say this one was a decent match for Okada. I still can't wait for Okada versus Takeshita at Double or Nothing. Honestly, that match could possibly steal the fucking show, but that's just me. I've been waiting to see that match forever. I definitely see Okada and Takeshita getting into it hard body, and then Takeshita possibly breaking off, or maybe the Don Callis even screwing over to Takeshita. That's kind of where I'm leaning. But Okada does pull that off, of course, because he's got to fight Takeshita at Double or Nothing within 2 weeks. So after the match, he pretty much goes, "Hey, I want more. I want more gold. Pretty much like this shoulder is cold. I need some more gold." And he looks at the camera and goes, "I'm letting you know now, Darby, I want the AEW World Championship." So another person's gonna wrestle Darby. But the way he says it, "I want the world title, bitch," and pretty much walks out. You always got to say that little bitch part, but it is what it is. That's his role in AEW, and he's doing his thing. How can I complain? Um, Later on, though, you had a little segment with them, and Don Callis is having his group there. He's saying, "Hey, you're gonna have Takeshita go after the Darby Allin very soon, and then you're gonna have you got Andrade that just won a NW. I think it was like no NJWP. Sorry, New Japan. Wow, New Japan title." And he was like, Mark Davis is gonna beat Jungle Boy Jack Perry for the national championship, and Takeshi was like, hold on. You gotta stop worrying about the world championship, bro. You got me in 2 weeks. You gotta worry about defending against me. Like, what are you doing? And Don Callis goes, man, you really sound like Kenny Omega there. Like I said, I think the Don Callis family is going to turn on Takeshita and screw him over for this championship. Or Takeshita is gonna win it out by himself, and the Don Callis family gonna jump his ass. But y'all, let me know what y'all think. But Andrade looked pissed too during that segment. He was like, "What's going on? I want the championship." He was like, "Yeah, you gonna get a title." He's like, "How you know? How you know I'm gonna get a title shot? How you know I'm gonna do this? How you know I'm gonna do that?" So again, you had Kyle Fletcher, you had Takeshita, you had Okada, and you had fucking Andrade that all could be world champions. And you want Okada to do it? It's like, bro, you're not even giving all your dudes a chance. But I digress. I'm actually surprised he didn't try to send somebody after the TNT champion yet to try to bring that title back to the Don Callis family personally. Um, but I'm really surprised about that dynamic. I thought they made it sound like Takeshita had turned on them a few months back or a few weeks back. So I'm surprised they're still playing it off that way. But let's see how it plays out. Takeshita is an amazing wrestler. I think him and Okada are gonna have some great chemistry. Cannot wait for that fucking match, guys. You had a match with Mina and Harley versus Chris Statlander and Sheeta. Well, right before that, though, you had kind of like Mina kind of giving Harley like a pep talk, and they're like, "Yeah, you gotta worry about what's in your heart. Stop worrying about what's out there, trying to find it. Worry about what's in your heart." And she goes and rips her shirt, and she had nothing but her bra on. And she was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I thought you had your gear on." She was like, "No, but I see what you're trying to do to me. You're trying to wake me up." So Harley starts getting amped up, and then Renee's like, "Harley, you should probably go get some clothes on." She's like, "Yeah, you're right," and then she dips off. Well, during that match, Harley Cameron and Mina were actually doing their thing. Um, Harley actually wanted Sheeta. Sheeta kept playing games. So Chris Statlander, again, this is the third time they're not on the same page. Sheeta's kind of like stealing the momentum, tagging herself in, and then Chris is just looking at her like, "Bitch, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing?" So there's definitely gonna come to a head with those two, Sheeta and Chris. I don't know how that's gonna turn out. Um, I would say the way it's looking though, Chris Statlander might turn. The last time she tried to turn, it didn't work out when she was with Stokely. But right now, I'm gonna post a picture a little bit. She looked pissed. She'd hit her with the knee at one point and took Chris out. They ended up winning, but Chris was pissed. She was all happy and excited, and Chris is just looking at her with her hair in her face, just like, "You fucking bitch." So can't wait to see that come to a head. I don't know if it's gonna happen at Double or Nothing. Or gonna wait for a later pay per view, just building that story up for an animosity towards each other. I mean, the one with Okada and Takeshita have been going on for months, so we'll see. Well, it's now the World Heavyweight Championship. You have Darby Allin versus Kevin Knight. This again, Darby's the smaller guy, not the younger, the smaller guy. So it's, even though Kevin Knight is speed, it's still David versus Goliath type of deal. Darby is definitely the smaller competitor. I would say Kevin probably got him maybe like 40 pounds, maybe. I could be exaggerating, but I'm gonna say like 40 pounds. Decent match between the two. We all knew Kevin Knight was gonna lose, which sucks. But I understand that. So Kevin Knight's gonna have what I think one loss on his record as TNT champion as a singles. I think he's lost to MJF though, so technically he's got two losses for the year, if I'm not mistaken. But Kevin Knight has been defending his championship the last 2 weeks in a row. If it wasn't for this match being an opportunity for the world championship, he probably would have defended his belt again. And a lot of people online are complaining that Darby doesn't deserve it. Darby this, Darby that. That the AEW World Championship wasn't the workhorse title. I get that part, but Darby deserves this, guys. Darby has bled. Darby has done coffin drops onto glass, thrown down some stairs in Daly's place, coffin drop into a fucking coffin with a body inside, skateboarding off of shit, climbed Mount one of the damn mountains, forgot the hell it was, So he definitely has blood, sweat, and tears for AEW. And there should be no reason why people are doubting him. Don't know how long his reign's gonna be. Long story short though, Kevin Knight does lose. He gets like a hobble leg at one point, and Darby kind of like rolls him up or whatever, takes the win. Sting comes out to congratulate Darby, raises Darby's hand up, but then he also looks at Kevin Knight, raises his hand up. So he raises both of the hands up, shows mutual respect to both of them, which is fantastic. Then what do you have? You have what's it called? MJF come out and crying, bitching and moaning, and he was like, I want my rematch. No. I want my rematch. No. How about this?" And he was like, "MJF, I told you, you're only getting a rematch if I get something in return." He looks at his scarf. He was like, "How about this? I'll give you my scarf. It's beautiful, Let's do that. My scarf for the title." He was like, "No." And then he looks at his Dynamite Diamond ring. He was like, I think that's his third one now. If I'm not, he looks at his You know what? How about this? My Dynamite Diamond ring for the championship. He was like, "No. I got one better for you, Max. You're so vain that you flew to Turkey for some hair plugs. How about you put your hair on the line versus my title. And everybody started saying MJF is going to be bald, this, that. But it was really weird, though, because you had, what's it called? It's really weird because MJF pretty much like disappeared and said no. Like he doesn't, he like didn't even answer. Like he pretty much said no, dipped off and walked to the back. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the stipulation, but I don't think MJF is going to shave his head. Like he's not going to spend thousands of dollars on hair transplant to get his hair line back and then go and get his hair shaved on national television. I don't see that happening, and it's just weird concept. It could be the one who takes the title from Darby again, but we'll see, guys. I don't know. Right after that, though, you had Okada coming in face to face with Darby, and he was like, I want a title shot next week. What do you say? And Darby goes, you got it, bitch. And it hits him with the mic and rolls out the ring. So we're going to have Okada versus Darby Allin next week. So we'll see how that plays out personally. I also think I saw on Instagram that Pac is going to wrestle Darby at some point, whether it's on Collision or it's next week on Dynamite. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. So right now you have the next two people that are going to, at least unless that was a mistake, but it's supposed to be Okada at one point and then Pac at one point wrestling Darby. So we'll see how it plays. I think Darby's going to win both. Pac might be his hardest competitor out of the two matches that I see there, but we'll see how it plays out. Is the Death Riders going to be a factor in that match if he does wrestle Pac? But let's see what happens, guys. Again, I didn't watch the third hour of the Collision / Dynamite. Just thought this episode was kind of thrown out there, but they are building for the card. So I'm kind of excited to see that. Or for the Double or Nothing card, I should say. You know, Jericho's going to do his thing for Stadium Stampede with the Hurt Syndicate versus the Demand with Mystery Partners. So we'll see how that plays out. You're going to have Darby versus, I think, MJF at Double or Nothing for the hair versus title match. I think that's where it's going to be played out. Okada versus Takeshita. Man. CNC versus FTR. Yeah, it's Double or Nothing just building like crazy, bro. Like I don't know how people don't want to watch this pay-per-view, but let's see how it plays out, guys. Let me know what y'all think in the comments off this video. Appreciate y'all not hurting me or reaching out to me or cursing me out for not posting nothing the last couple of weeks. I have been watching, just haven't made a video, had some issues. But again, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great one.